Welcome to the first episode of the Kurby Show, where we talk about home buying tips. So you're ready to buy your first home and you want to know what to do, what steps to take to make sure that you get the right home. But before we get into it, make sure you like and subscribe down below to get more content like this. So let's get into it. The most obvious thing that you want to do here is market research. Make sure you know where you're buying, what area you're buying in, and what that area is like. And this might sound obvious, but there's a lot of things that go into this. You want to know what the area is like at different times of the day. Do you live in that neighborhood? Is it a new area? What is it like during rush hour? What's it like during 5 p.m. on rush hour on a Friday? Is there a lot of kids hanging out in front of buildings? Is there drugs and alcohol and loud music? What are the neighbors doing? These are things that are important that you might not always think about when you're thinking about doing market research, especially if you're buying in an area that you haven't been to before. If you're buying a house sight unseen and you're just relying on Zillow and Trulia and all these websites to give you that information, you really have to make sure that you're getting the full picture here. Number 2 is to set a realistic budget. Again, this is easier said than done. In order to set a realistic budget, you need to be realistic about how much money you make. What is your net monthly income? Start with that number and subtract your living expenses. How much do you spend on groceries? What do you spend on gas? What do you spend on DoorDash and Netflix and all of these expenses, your Wi-Fi, your phone? You want to make sure that you subtract these out of the picture first and then figure out how much you'll have left for the mortgage. Then go to a mortgage calculator. Type in a home price that's in your budget, your range that you're looking at. Maybe it's $300,000, maybe it's $400,000. Type that number into a mortgage calculator. It will probably pop up with the interest rate already, so you don't have to worry about looking for the interest rate right now. Then what is your down payment? How much money do you have for a down payment? Plug that in, and then you'll get an estimate on what your monthly mortgage payment will be. Now you take your net income minus your living expenses and now subtract your estimated monthly mortgage payment from that and see how much money you would have left per month. See if this is something that's realistic for you. Is this a house that you can afford? Or are you stretching it a little bit too thin? Maybe you want to think about this in a different way. It might be your first home, but maybe it's not your forever home. Maybe you have to find some ways to make the budget stretch a little bit more. But this is always good to understand exactly what your budget is and what you can afford and what you can't afford. Which takes us to the next step. Number 3 is to make sure you save for the down payment and everything that's included with those closing costs as well. The down payment, you could pay 3.5% if you're using a FHA. You could do 5% minimum with a conventional loan. You could do 10%. You could do 20%. I recommend nothing less than 5%, even if you're doing an FHA loan, just because you don't want to get caught in a situation where, you can't make the payments and you're underwater and you have no equity in the home and you can't pull out equity from that home if you need it. So really you want to save up for this down payment. Shoot for 10%, if not 20. Especially, right now it's fall of 2022. We're in some tough times, and right now it would be tough for you to get a mortgage without 20% down or more. So as a first-time home buyer, you can probably get it with 10%. I would shoot for at least 10%, and make sure that you think about the closing costs as well. There's costs for the paperwork fees, the escrow money. There's a lot of the closing costs are going to come up to a few $1,000s, depending on the price of the home. It's maybe 1% to 2%. So you want to make sure that you have this, because this has to be paid in cash as well during the closing. So that's something that's important to think about as well. Number 4, don't stop paying down debt. This is something that a lot of first-time home buyers do. They want to save up for that big down payment. They want to save up for those closing costs, so they stop paying off their debt. Maybe they defer their student loans for another 6 months, or they try to defer other payments, or they just don't keep up with them. Not paying off your debt during the home buying process is a really bad thing to do. You want to make sure that you're always paying off your debt, especially your high interest debt. Pay it off as soon as possible and make sure that your debt to income ratio is not too high. This is something that your mortgage lender is going to be looking at. You want to make sure that your debt to income ratio is under control. There's a certain threshold that they will not allow you to go above, depending on the loan that you're taking out. You want to make sure that you are living comfortably. You have a lot more income than you do debt. So this is going to be things like a car loan. If you have a car loan, try to pay it off. If you have a student loan, try to pay it off. Credit cards, if you have a lot of credit card debt, try to pay that off as well, because your lender might even potentially ask you to pay this off before you're able to purchase the house if your debt to income ratio is not at the right place. And your debt to income ratio is directly tied to your credit score, which brings us to number 5, which is to maintain a solid credit score and credit history. Your credit score is one of the most important things when it comes to getting a loan. Your lender is constantly going to be checking in on your credit score throughout the process until you finally close on that home. So you want to make sure that you have a good credit score. Anything above 700 is good. 740, excellent. If you can get to 800, the more the merrier. But you want to make sure that you're at least above 700 realistically. If you're shooting for an FHA loan, as of 2022, the requirements are that you have to have a 580 or above to put 3.5% down, and then I think 680 to put 10% down. So if you're at 700, you're sitting pretty good, and this is going to determine the amount of interest that you have to pay on your mortgage. So the better credit score you have, the lower your interest. And the way that you maintain a good credit score is that if you have credit cards, make sure that you're paying that off each month, that you're not racking up credit card debt. This is high interest debt. So pay off your credit cards every month. If you do have credit cards, don't cancel them. The longer you have a credit card open for, the better it looks. It keeps your credit history open for longer. Pay off all of your debts. Lannisters pay their debts, right? Be like the Lannister. Always pay your debts on time. So if it's student loans, if it's hospital bills, it doesn't matter what it is. You don't ever want a bill being sent to a creditor, because it's going to affect your credit. You're going to end up paying a higher interest on your mortgage, and you're going to be paying more monthly. And that's another thing to mention about, if you put down less than 20%, you're going to be paying PMI, private mortgage insurance. So when you do save up for that mortgage, if you can get to that 20%, you will be paying less on your monthly mortgage payment by putting down 20%. Number 6, choose a great real estate agent. A great real estate agent is going to make the home buying process a lot easier. During my home buying process, I had to go through several different real estate agents. So this is not an easy process. It's not something that, you can just flick your fingers and then you've got one. Just like any other service job, it's going to depend on the level of effort that agent is putting in for you and that they're giving you. How high are they prioritizing you on their list? If you go for a really senior real estate agent, chances are they're not going to prioritize you. They'll probably send you to a junior agent. A junior agent is probably who you want to be working with. Somebody 2 to 3 years in the game, somebody who understands the local market because they've lived there their whole life, and they're hungry and they're willing to, put in that effort to get that commission. Because if you're a first-time home buyer, chances are you're buying, a home that's priced on the lower end of average home prices right now, $400,000, $500,000. You're not buying a multi-million-dollar home where a senior real estate agent can make a lot of commission off of that. So you want to make sure that you have an agent who's in a similar position as you. They're hungry and they're willing to work with you. They'll go out and do these visits to the homes. They'll call the agents and make sure that they're getting all that information for you, and they're really working on your behalf. So there's ways that you can do this. You can look on YouTube. You can go to the broker websites. You can go through Zillow or another marketplace. I recommend, starting off with asking some of your friends and families for recommendations. Anyone who's worked with an agent in the area who wants to recommend somebody. If that doesn't work, maybe go through the broker website. Search a few different brokers in your area. Go through their websites, look at their profiles, check them out on LinkedIn, see if they have a blog, see if they have an Instagram or a Twitter, something that you can follow, and then see if their services and their services align with you. What do they specialize in? Is it short-term rentals? Is it multi-family homes? Is it single-family homes for families? You want to make sure that whatever they specialize in aligns with what you're looking for. Which brings us to our next tip. Number 7, do your homework on the house itself. Make sure you get a home inspection done. Not just getting a home inspection. Just getting a home inspection isn't enough either. Just like any other service business, you want to make sure that your home inspector, that you hire the right home inspector and they're working on your behalf and they're going above and beyond and they're putting in the effort for you. You want to check exactly what's included in that home inspection. Call the company. First, go on Google and make sure that they have good reviews. Find a company that has a lot of 5-star reviews in the area. Then call them and see what's included in the report. Ask them if you can get a copy of a previous report. This is the best way to see what the report includes and to see if it satisfies what you're looking for. Look through the report and then ask what package this is. How much does this cost? Because there's always different services and packages that they offer. So you want to make sure that you're paying for the report that you just looked at. Does it include photos? Does it include videos? Did they check that the stove temperature is correct? That the water temperature is correct on the hot, the microwave? Did they check the lighting? Did they check the electricity? All of this stuff. You want to make sure that it is a thorough inspection. You want to ask what's included, check the previous report, and then make sure that yours includes all of that, especially big ticket items like the roof, the water heater. You want to make sure that there is no issues with this before you move forward. So the report's great, but make sure you speak to the inspector as well. If you're there in person, that's even better because he can tell you things as he's inspecting the home. But if not, make sure you speak on the phone after the inspection. Ask, what were the biggest issues that you found? What should I most be alarmed about? What should I be negotiating with the seller about? He'll tell you, hey, this is going to cost $10,000 to fix. You can maybe negotiate with the seller and see if they can fix it before the sale, or you can split the cost. The inspector can be very valuable, and you want to make sure that you're getting this value out of your inspector, not just hiring someone to do an inspection, looking at the report, and then moving forward. Number 8, get the right home insurance. I've seen too many people who are overpaying for home insurance that they don't need. You want to make sure that your home insurance includes everything that you need, but nothing more than that. Check if you're in a flood zone. Do you need flood insurance? Check what kind of insurance you need for other natural disasters, anything that could hit. And then ask your insurance company, go to multiple different insurance companies, make sure you're getting the best rate. Ask them, what's the lowest package? What's the next package up? What package am I on? Make sure you're getting the full sense of exactly where you are, where you can save money, and where you're spending money to make sure that you are, getting the home insurance that you need, but not the home insurance that they're trying to sell you. Number 9, don't let emotions cloud your judgment. Buying your first home is a very emotional process. It's a very emotional purchase. It's one of the biggest purchases you'll ever make in your life. And it's very easy to get caught up in the hype, caught up in the glamour, the glitz, the happiness, There's so many different people that you're working with for the first time, an agent, maybe a lawyer, you're working with an inspector, you're working with the seller's agent. And these people all have different interests that hopefully they align with yours, but sometimes they might not. So don't let the emotions or any of that pressure from the colleagues that you're working with force you into any decision that you're not happy about or that you're not trying to make. This is really your purchase. This is your home. You want to make sure that you're in full control and that you understand everything, that you're making a rational decision, and it's not based on emotion. So sometimes, you might not get the perfect home that you need. Maybe you just have to, decide that this is my first home, but it's not my forever home. You have to work with the market as well. You have to be willing to compromise at times, depending on what's available, what your budget is, and how quickly you need to make a decision. So it's always best to be level-headed, and when you're making these decisions, think, with a clear mind. Talk it out with friends and family or a partner, and make sure that you're making that rational decision and you're not basing it off of curb appeal or emotions. Number 10, be prepared for unexpected expenses after closing. There's always going to be expenses to pay after closing. You think you're done, you finally got to the journey, and then you have to repair the dishwasher or the stove or the fridge. Depending on how old your home is, you may be already expecting to repair some of these. But even with the new home, don't be surprised if some of these repairs or renovations pop up. And that's not it. There's also going to be, landscaping. Maybe you have to pay for landscaping, or maybe you have to pay for pest control, or you have an HOA fee, or you have to pay for garbage removal, snow removal. There's always going to be fees that you have to be expecting after closing. So it's important that you save up, not just for the closing cost and the down payment, but you also save up so that you have an emergency fund for whatever comes up, whatever happens. You always want to have some sort of emergency fund, not just for homes, but always in life. But this is one instance. If the roof all of a sudden starts leaking and you need to repair it, you want to make sure that you are, prepared and ready for that. So always save some money for an emergency fund for unexpected cost after closing. Number 11, don't wait until the last minute to find a lender. Get pre-approved for a mortgage early on. Getting pre-approved does a lot of things, and it's going to help your journey. It shows the agent that you're serious. You've gone through the process to get pre-approved. It shows you exactly how much money you can get a loan for. So now you don't have to worry about, is this a home that I can afford or not? Or is this home too expensive? You'll know exactly what to look for, and you can focus on your price range. And it's going to save you a lot of time and a lot of headaches. Not only that, you want to make sure that you are, prepared for that down payment. If you think that you're buying a $300,000 house, but the market's more expensive and you're pre-approved for $500,000, so you end up spending $400,000, you want to make sure now that you have that down payment. If you were only preparing to put, 10% down on a $300,000 home, can you do 10% down on a $400,000 home now? So you want to make sure that you are prepared, you're getting pre-approved early. And that takes us to our next point, number 12. Another reason why it's important to get pre-approved early is because you always want to research the different types of home loans. A lot of people just think that there's just a mortgage. You just go get a mortgage. But there's a conventional mortgage that comes from, from the bank, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, or there's an FHA, which comes from the government, is backed by the government. So you want to make sure that you're checking all of them. If you're a veteran, you can get a VA mortgage, which is, similar to an FHA, where you can get it with maybe a lower credit score or lower money down. So an FHA loan does have a lot of advantages for first-time home buyers. One is the fact that you can get it with a lower credit score. You can put lower money down. You will still have to pay, some private insurance, but not as much sometimes as with a conventional loan. There's also other benefits that you can buy, up to 4 units, and you can just live in one unit while you rent out the others. So if you're looking for a house hack, an FHA loan might be perfect for you. Another reason why it's important to get pre-approved early, which brings us to number 13, is to get multiple quotes from multiple lenders. You want to make sure that you're always working with multiple lenders and getting multiple quotes. You speak to agents, speak to multiple. You speak to home inspectors, speak to multiple. You speak to the lenders, speak to multiple. This is really going to affect the rate that you're getting. How good of a rate are you getting? They're all going to give you different rates. So you want to make sure that you are working with the lender who's best for you. He's giving you the best rates and is, flexible to work with you on your schedule, knows the local market, and is going to be, the best help for you. Might be in a similar position as you, and he works with home buyers similar to you who are buying first-time home buys. So that's a quick recap. There's a lot that goes on during the home buying process. Most of all, be happy, enjoy the process. You might only do it once in your life. It's probably the biggest purchase you'll make, so make sure that you do, step back, take a deep breath, and enjoy this process. And if you're looking for more tips, be sure to subscribe and like this video down below. We'll be coming back with a lot more tips, and we'll be building a web app in public that will help you on your home buying process and journey. So thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next time.